Remember where you have to aim. Yeah, that's incredible.
Ladies and gentlemen, behold. USASOC's newest rifle, which has come under fire for its bendy boy status. It's become an internet meme sensation. Everybody knows about Bendy Boy. Adopted first in the 14.5 and 10.3 variants, now welcoming the 11.5 URGI to its ranks because 11.5 dominates the 10.3 in almost everything. Ooh, bet you didn't know that. The rifle's cloners hate because there's so many configurations and USASOC is ungovernable. The platform that's able to be tailored to multiple mission sets you'll never have to worry about. An upper package that, like Icarus, allows you to fly too close to the sun in a failed attempt to LARP your way to badass status. Let's dive into it, and for those wondering, yes, I woke up and chose violence. I'm not gonna lie, I had to get my tape measure out for this one. The overall length, as I have it configured with a UBR stock and a Magpul enhanced butt pad, comes in at 32.5 inches all the way extended to 35.5 inches. With the RC2 attached, this guy, you're looking at 36.25 inches all the way collapsed and fully extended 39 inches. Where I use it with the stock out that far, it measures, without the can, is 33.75 inches or 33.75, or with the RC2 attached, 37.5 inches. Your overall height is 8 inches. Barrel length is 14.5 inches. With the Surefire 4-prong comes to 16.5 inches. The overall width, which I measured at the flashlight, is 3.75 inches. That will help you get a case. My URGI with the Vortex Razor 1-10, Surefire RC2, and the same 30-round magazine is 12 pounds, 2.7 ounces. Without the suppressor, 11 pounds, 1.3 ounces. The barrel is a Daniel Defense, cold hammer forged, chrome lined, 1-in-7 twist, optimized for M855A1. Attached to make it legal for us civilians is a Surefire 4-prong that's pin and welded, operated by a mid-length gas system, which is directed through the Geissele bomb-proof gas block. Let's start at the front and work our way to the rear, because that's how we do business. Up front, you're looking at a Surefire 4-prong. I like the 4 prongs over the 3 prongs because they ring less and they don't push your muzzle in any direction because the tines are equally cut. It does ring a little bit, but not too bad, especially when compared to the 3-prong, which is a wind chime by comparison. All right, once again, that's connected to this fantastic Daniel Defense barrel. It's a government profile barrel because requested by government. Some guys poo-poo government profiles. I actually like them. I prefer a thicker barrel or a bull barrel because that delivers superior harmonics. However, the reason government profiles are good is because if you're using a suppressor, you're going to have a lot of heat right here. And if it's thicker there, it'll help absorb that a little bit better. The enemy of a modern barrel is really abrasive bimetal bullets and or heat. So if you plan on running a suppressor, I highly recommend some sort of government profile, at least a .750 gas journal, which this is, with either a government profile or a heavy barrel. Covering this beautiful Daniel Defense barrel is, of course, the 13.5-inch Geissele Mark 16 rail. A rail which will live in infamy because some dude put a maul on it and dropped it, and it caused the rail to bend. Didn't do it with any other rails, just the Mark 16 rail. It's a great rail for most things. It's remarkably lightweight and ergonomic. However, due to being lightweight, just like any other M-LOK lightweight rail, it is prone to bending under certain conditions. You'll find that with most M-LOK rails. There's a couple out there, I think the Hodge rail, whatever Triarch uses, I think it's a Hodge. There's a Geissele, I think Mark 8, which is pretty thick, and a Knight's URX4 rail. Those are probably the most robust M-LOK rails, but outside of that, any sort of rail you run into that's an M-LOK that's thinner, it'll be subjected to the same thing. So the bendy boy thing, which is a joke, kind of applies to all thin rails. Moving rearward, you're looking at, I don't know if it's a Daniel or Colt receiver. I think it's based on the variant you get, and I don't know which variant I got because I bought this upper when it was first available. I've seen these squares on both Colts and Daniels, so I'm gonna just say it's Daniel Defense. Someone might get super butthurt and say it's a Colt. I can't prove it either way. I hope it's a Daniel, but it could be a Colt. Either way, the manufacturing standard for both companies is pretty reliable. We also have internally a mil-spec Colt or Daniel Defense bolt carrier group. Again, I don't know which one it is, but Colt and Daniel Defense have excellent manufacturing standards, so either way it's solid. But it's a standard mil-spec, magnetic particle inspected, high pressure tested bolt and bolt carrier. And with the mid-length gas system will last a little bit longer versus a carbine length gas system. This is attached internally, of course, to your Geissele airborne charging handle in their DDC finish. It comes with an H1 Super 42 spring setup. I've upgraded to the H2. I really think an H2 with the Super 42 with this upper is the winning setup. So I know they use the H1 so you can run whatever in it, but the H2 is really the way to go, suppressed or unsuppressed. And this, of course, is what the standard URGI package is. Now, what I've done to it is I put some BCM grip panels on it, a CAG, a dual fuel with a pressure switch, the SR07. I'm gonna change this to an OKW. I'll get into that some other time. And I have it on a Carnicon lower, which is, for those that don't know, a Palmetto State Defense Carnicon lower. That's right.
That's right.
Number 37 of 300, and my first lower build project, which has a BCM lower parts kit, a Geissele SSA, a BCM gunfighter grip, and a Magpul aluminum trigger guard connected to the UBR stock. This is a first generation in OD green because I'm partial to OD green. And originally I wanted to do an OD green build, but this is how it came out. And as you can see up top, I have a Generation 3 Vortex 1-10 mounted in a Badger 170 height C1. mount. Overall, a very nice setup. Over the course of all the rounds I've fired, which is 3,500 rounds to date, that's allowing other people to shoot it and shooting it myself, with a large variety of different bullet weights and manufacturer, it is now time to share my assessments of what this thing is good for and what it's not so good for. Now, my configuration isn't that light. However, these URGI setups start light enough that you can go in any direction. You can really set it up to be light or super heavy. Sky's the limit. This 14.5-inch barrel, being the kind of barrel that it is, it's optimized for M855, which means higher pressure and a very abrasive bullet as it travels down the bore, that running standard rounds through it really gives you extended barrel life. And despite being chrome lined, it's very, very accurate. I've been able to crack off some really, really solid accuracy with this thing, which is really good because you can use this as a dot rifle. You can use it as a medium range LPVO, a 1-4 or 1-6, or you can throw a longer range setup on it in an LPVO, be it a 1-8 or 1-10, or just go full SPR and throw, you know, a 2.5 to 10, a 3 to 15, 4 to 16, something like that on it, and really reach out and smack things. So it's really, really capable of doing anything you put it into. And it is a little peppier on the gas side. It's not a super duper soft shooting 14.5, but it's a flat shooting and predictable 14.5, which makes this ideal for me and how I use this gun as a primary fighting rifle. It's decent at doing close quarters work because 14.5, essentially 16.5 inches, isn't the worst indoors. Any of these that you purchase without SBRing it are going to be near clones because the government doesn't pin and weld muzzle devices. So with that understanding, unless you're putting something super short on this, you're gonna have these 4 prongs. You know, it's just the way it goes. With whatever buttstock you put on this, you can really do a lot of competent work with it. And 14.5 is really, really good for a jack of all trades or do it all rifle. And based on how you outfit it, you can really succeed in a lot of arenas and not feel like you didn't bring enough gun. You are going to lose a little bit of velocity versus a 16, an 18, or a 20 inch. You're right at the precipice of being able to vibe check people with M855. M855A1, however, if you are shooting that for some reason, you're going to be remarkably capable because the increased pressure and this barrel's ability to deal with it. You can still vibe check with a 14.5-inch gun because I think chronograph testing got it to 3,100 or 3,200 feet per second. And honestly, whatever I've thrown in this thing, be it 77s, 62s, or 55s, I've been able to do a lot of stuff with it, been very accurate, and the shots ring things with authority. So this setup gives me a lot of confidence. And then being able to throw the suppressor on it out of the factory, especially with this pin and welded 4-prong, being able to throw a surefire suppressor on it gives me a lot of capability and confidence. I'm also using one of the most rugged barrels in the industry with one of the most rugged suppressors in the industry. So it's a very, very good combination, and the gun doesn't suffer being suppressed. What's nice is those two things I highlighted, it's remarkably accurate and remarkably hard use. So this is legitimately a go-to-war setup. Now, for the things it's not so great at, if you are a careless clobberhannes,
Julian,
and you're going to destroy your rifle at any given opportunity, and you just absolutely dominate whatever you use, probably not the rifle I'd go with. I would go with a Knight's Armament or something with a Hodge rail because that's the thicker rail. Now, with that said, accidents happen, and this rail being thin, aluminum is not as strong as steel housings or anything like that, and based on what you're putting on this rail and where, if it has some aggressive angle fall or it falls directly on the accessory, you can damage the rail to the point where anything you have on here loses 0 and it will impact the barrel. Good news, however, this is completely removable and interchangeable. So if you decide I want to have a URGI, but I don't want to run this rail, you can swap out for a Knights rail. You can put a Hodge rail on there, whatever you want to do, if you want to put all that work into it. The other 2 points that I'm going to bring up are extremely subjective, but this isn't going to be the shortest option that you're going to bring to a gunfight. So if all you're doing is CQC work and you'll never stretch its legs past a certain distance, may not be the rifle for you. And if you want the most quiet option out there, so if you're really a 300 blackout shopper, but you're too cheap to afford it, 5.56 isn't your game anyway, I guess. And I really I can already hear the grunts and the sighs and the rolling of eyes in the comments. I had to really look for limitations and drawbacks on this particular setup because you're really hard pressed to come up with any. This is genuinely a solid fighting rifle, and one that if you purchase, you will not be disappointed with. Now, something I will admit is with the suppressor, she's not gonna be like some magic, no gas in the face with no wind kind of rifle. It has a standard mil-spec bolt carrier, and even with the guy, I don't get any gas through the Geissele charging handle, but 5-shot strings, if there's no wind or the wind's coming at you, you are gonna get choked out. You can fix that with like a land tack or a Surefire or an LMT bolt that's designed to assist you with suppressor use. So out of the box, is it gonna be the best with a suppressor? No, but no gun is. Any of these other setups that come like that are not gonna be that way anyway. You have to drop something else in there. So don't expect to throw one of those suppressors on there and just have a blast. It is what it is. But even with the suppressor as configured as I have it, it's a dream to shoot. And there's a lot of owners on forums and on YouTube in general that have these rifles and shoot them and take them everywhere. I'm on the clone page where I'm deeply hated for this rifle, and although the UBR stock has been cited in downrange photography, and all I need is someone in USASOC to set this rifle up this exact way so it can be kosher and make all of the cloners mad. So any of you US Army guys out there that have this upper, if you want to do that for me, I'll buy you lunch. Or some alcohol. One of the two. I just want to see the meltdowns. I've had 0 issues, 0 parts breakages, and I don't have a bad lever. I have a Geissele Maritime bolt catch, which somehow hasn't broken and exploded despite what the internet told me. And Geissele Master Race, they hate Geissele parts. This rifle just runs. Now, is it for everybody? No. And is this the only upper that you can do this with? No. There's plenty of good, solid uppers out there. But for the price point and the features you get, I'm having trouble reaching to another company that gives you something at $1,250. So I'll say if you're looking at 14.5s, I have a very short list of 14.5s that I'll recommend, but they're all top tier. I'm gonna spoil it now. They're either Geissele, Daniel Defense, Knights, BCM makes a decent 14.5, and the usual rifles that I'm gonna recommend. LMT's up there. The guys that take time and create a quality product. They test it, they use quality parts, it's always gonna run. But if you're like, hey man, $1,250 is my top dollar for an upper, or if Geissele ever brings those sales back where it's $1,000 for this upper and an SSA or SSAE, that is a no-brainer. I don't care what other upper you're looking at, that is a no-brainer. And I love Knights 14.5 uppers. Knights makes some of the best stuff out there. I mean, the guy in their shipping department does this. I can't get you into a Knights at the price point this comes in at. And this Knights barrels are solid. I'm not saying this to negate a Knights, right? But this barrel is optimized for M855. This upper is downrange right now, stacking bodies. It has a 1-6 on it. I've seen them with Trijicon 1-8s downrange. I've seen them with this new Vortex. There's all these pictures rolling out of all these dudes that are in bad places with this upper. So the upper's tested, and the near clone upper that you're getting is of such high quality that you're not really going to be wanting for anything. And it's great with any round you put in it. I'm running Mark 318 Mod O, and I wanted to stick with a 62 grain 0 for this optic because even though all of my 62 grain rounds won't be perfect, I can throw what I've stocked the most. I have more 62 grain than anything. So if I'm strapped and this is my fighting gun, which it is, I can throw any 62 in there and win. It'll run 77 TMKs too. So this barrel, if you needed one rifle, I mean, this is what I would recommend. A 14.5 gets almost everything done. Being able to put a suppressor on it and not be super long, like if you had a 16-inch, super awesome. And because this has the 4-prong, you can take the Surefire series suppressors. In my experience and a bunch of people that I trust that have used these, the most rugged can on the market. All that aside, you're really looking at one of the best options out there on the market today. Between the ergonomics, the quality of the parts, the Geissele bomb-proof gas block, that Daniel Defense barrel really is something special, and it's probably my favorite thing in this whole setup is how good that barrel is. By all objective measurements, this thing should just be a average but hard use barrel, and it's an accurate and hard use barrel. That blows my mind. And we've really gotten a long way in barrel technologies where you used to look at a barrel and say, 8 to 10,000 rounds and it's smoked. This thing probably gonna go anywhere between 20 to 30,000 rounds. With a civilian or a semi-automatic firing schedule, this barrel is probably gonna outlast you. So if I need a no shit, super bad day, we're getting invaded or something awful happens and I need a rifle, this is it. This is my fighting rifle, the Geissele URGI. And I have affinity for other brands, and I don't know that you can get a better endorsement from me than that. And I don't know that anything can replace it. Thanks for watching. Take care out there. Oh, welcome to the After Dark discussion. The Vortex 1-10 is going to come up in the comments. How do I like it? All this other stuff. Most of you aren't going to stay to this part in the video. I need to shoot it more to figure out how I feel about it. They are expensive, and I paid a lot of money for this. What I'm going to tell you is there's 3 reviews that really highlighted the points well, and I'm not saying watch their videos and not mine. What I am saying though is it takes me a while to do an optic review, and I know how excited a lot of people are for this optic. I was too, and that's part of my problem is I bought the hype. So the 3 reviews I'm going to say watch and hang on every word they say is first, the best one is the 9-hole reviews. Right behind that is InRange TV. They did a really good review. And Garantham's is okay. It doesn't highlight all of the stuff that I would have liked him to. He did mention it though. And I was initially kind of salty at Garantham because I was like, you didn't tell me. But then I watched it and they were like small mentions. So I don't want to throw any shade at Garantham, not because I'd get it back from the community, but I initially focused on all the good stuff and ignored the items for consideration. So 9-hole reviews is a little more precision focused and long range shooting focused, and they highlighted the disadvantages pretty well. InRange TV took it to some shooting competitions and he highlighted the stuff that I'm having problems with right now. I have another URGI video that's following this with different setups for different rifles, and I do mention something in there about watch 9-hole reviews, but I wanted to give these other guys a mention because they did a good job as well. So 9-hole reviews, InRange TV, and Garantham. My expectations for this optic were way higher than they should have been, and it's not fair to the optic. So if I give you my impressions now, it's not going to be the best. So I need to run this thing a lot more in a lot of different conditions, be it in the rain, super hot days, super cold days, and I need to run it at different shooting ranges. So I need to do probably about a year in-depth review on this optic versus, hey, I'm Vortex, I'm gonna send all my optics to these reviewers and they're gonna get it first and be super happy they did kind of review. I'm going to do a in-depth, long look at it. So I just want everybody to know, I know I'm gonna field these questions, and I know most of you aren't gonna sit this far in the video, so that's why the runtime is so long, but it's really, really good. The optic is very, very good, and it is a top tier optic, but there's some things with it that I'm not super pumped about. There's definitely some fisheyeing at 1x, and the eye relief at 10x is just straight terrible. But I don't know if those are expectations I should have on this thing, because a lot of optics when you get to max mag are very rough on their eye relief. So again, I listened to people, you know, I pretty much watched every review that came out on this, and I listened to everybody and I was excited. My only thing I'm saying is this isn't a bad optic. I'm not saying it's a bad optic, and I'm not saying don't spend your money on it. I'm just saying that there's items to consider that these 3 reviewers hit that not everybody did. And there's some people that actually, some videos of people I don't even like that much I watched, and it reaffirmed why I don't like them. So there's definitely things to look at with this optic, and I don't want people to jump in feet first and then be like, oh, nobody said there's fisheyeing at 1x. Everybody said it was the closest to true 1x they've ever seen. And oh, 10x is so crystal clear. You can, you know, you have a 4-inch eye relief with 10x. No. So between this video and me doing this review and flushing it out over a year probably, or, you know, in different shooting conditions and trying to run this optic in competition and everything, and let a couple other people shoot it as well to get their feedback, check out those 3 reviews and it'll give you the best general perception of this optic. Hopefully I can do it justice when I review it. But yeah, just wanted to get this piece in there. I know it's gonna come up. Hopefully y'all are doing good out there. Take it easy.